Hello everyone, it's me Clayton. I just finished watching Amsterdam, starring Christian Bale, John David Washington, Margot Robbie, Taylor Swift, Rami Malek, Robert De Niro, and a ton of other people, and directed by David O. Russell, who also directed American Hustle and Silver Linings Playbook. So yeah, there's a lot of talent both on and off camera when it comes to this film, and its 1930s setting does help it stand out from several other films that are out right now. But the question is this combination of elements leading to a product that's any good? Well, let's get to the story. The story follows three friends, Bert, played by Christian Bale, Valerie, played by Margot Robbie, and Harold, played by John David Washington, who end up being involved in a murder that takes place in the 1930s. After witnessing the death of a man and the death of his daughter, played by Taylor Swift, Christian Bale happens to recount the various events that led the three friends to where they are now, and they try to make sure that they can be absolved of any wrongdoings when it comes to the murder. They have to clear their names, and they have to find how this murder is connected to a crazy plot that could mean the end of America and the people's freedom as they know it. So that's all I'll say about the story. Apparently, a lot of the crazy stuff that happens in this movie actually did happen in the 1930s. Now, I'm sure there are historical inaccuracies here and there, especially since the film takes a very comedy/drama approach, but from what I can tell, a lot of this stuff actually did take place, which makes me realize that the truth is often stranger than fiction. But I do wonder how much comedy or drama should be done into this kind of story, because there are some parts that are flat out hilarious, such as the chemistry between Bale, Washington, and Morabi is often very funny, and even some of Bale's narration can often be quite entertaining. But there are some moments that feel like they should be more dramatic, or some of the jokes that should be more comedic. I do think that a lot of the physical comedy with Christian Bale's glass eye is effective, for example, but there are some characters who I feel could have had better jokes given to them. Like, there's Mike Myers' character, who's part of MI6, who has jokes that often fall flat. Or how Robert De Niro adds a lot of gravitas to his performance, but ultimately I feel that they don't use his character enough. He's really only in the final third. Speaking of thirds in the movie is actually about 2 hours and 17 minutes long, but it feels a bit longer than that. It feels like there are a few scenes that could have been cut, especially scenes that have flashbacks that go on a little too long, or have scenes that show footage that we already saw previously in the movie. It does feel like David O. Russell is trying to remind us of certain moments in the movies at those times, but it's really not necessary, as we just saw some of those scenes an hour or even just minutes ago, so it really feels like that should have been trimmed down to make for a much better paced film. But I don't think Amsterdam deserves all the backlash that some of the critics have been giving it. Because the cast often works very well together, there are a fair amount of jokes and there are a fair amount of dramatic moments that work, and I do think that the film actually does try something new when it comes to a lot of the scenarios it goes for. And since a lot of films try to play it too safe, I think Amsterdam should be commended for at least trying something new, even if it doesn't always work. Experimentation is always necessary in cinema, and I feel David O. Russell has a mixed result here. Not as good as his previous work, but I think it's still worth a watch. That's why I give Amsterdam a 7 out of 10. See you next time.